Good morning, I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela, and we are the Castros.
We bring you the news.
And the views that make you think.
Sometimes we agree.
Sometimes we don't.
This is News and Views.
And here are today's headlines.
The Philippines officially assumed the ASEAN chairmanship from Malaysia, with President Marcos calling it a key opportunity for the country.
More senators have released their statements of assets, liabilities, and net worth, or SALNs, amid pressure for greater transparency.
PCG spokesperson Commodore J. Tariela hits back at Congressman Pulong Duterte for supposedly discrediting him.
Authorities are ramping up preparations for the expected passenger surge this Undas 2025. Meanwhile, Pag-asa forecasts rain across the country during the Undas weekend.
First in the news, the Philippines is set to lead the region next year after formally assuming the chairmanship of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN 2026. Mobile Journal Julie Baisa with the details.
The Philippines officially took over chairmanship of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN 2026.
Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim ceremonially handed over the role to President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. at the Kuala Lumpur Convention Center in Malaysia by passing the chairmanship gavel.
To my friend Bongbong, good luck.
Anwar also expressed confidence that under Marcos's hand, the ASEAN will continue to act with clarity, composure, and warmth. For his part, PBBM said that next year's ASEAN will be guided by the theme Navigating Our Future Together. He added that the Philippines will continue to push forward peace and security.
We will continue to champion peace and stability through dialogue, adherence to international law, and enhanced cooperation on traditional and non-traditional security issues.
The Philippines is allocating over 17.5 billion pesos for hosting duties in 2026. Beyond the logistics of hosting, being ASEAN chairman means the Philippines will be the one steering regional discussions for an entire year. For this year's ASEAN, it was noticeable that the president's statement focused on the issue of the West Philippine Sea. Yesterday, in front of Chinese Premier Li Qiang, the president said that the Philippines will continue to engage with ASEAN and China through relations and diplomacy in the South China Sea, while upholding the country's rights under international law, particularly the 1982 United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS. The president also clarified that relations and cooperation cannot go hand in hand with coercion or intimidation. Kapatid Mobile Journal Julie Baiza, We're One News.
With growing calls for transparency, more senators have made their SALNs public following the Ombudsman's move to lift access restrictions amid corruption allegations. Here's the report.
More senators have released their statements of assets, liabilities, and net worth, or SALNs. Out of the 21 senators who have made their SALNs public, Senator Mark Villar reported the highest net worth at 1.26 billion pesos. He was followed by Senator Raffy Tulfo, whose total assets, based on the joint SALN he filed with his wife, Congresswoman Jocelyn Tulfo, amounted to over $1 billion. Next is Senator Erwin Tulfo with a net worth of 497 million pesos, followed by Senate Minority Leader Mig Zubiri at 431.7 million. Zubiri's wealth reportedly increased after selling his shares in Bukidnon Power Corporation and other companies. Senator Camille Villar also declared a net worth of 362 million pesos. Senator Ping Lacson, Robin Padilla, Jinggoy Estrada, and Lito Lapid each declared assets exceeding 200 million. Senate President Tito Soto's wealth was listed at 188 million pesos, while Senator J.V. Ejercitos amounted to 137 million. According to their SALNs, Senator Pia Cayetano reported a net worth of 128 million pesos, followed by Senator Win Gatchalian with 89 million, Senator Bam Aquino with 86 million, Senator Loren Legorda with 79 million, and Senator Joel Villanueva with 49 million. Senator Risa Hontiveros and Cheese Escudero both declared around 18 million pesos in net worth, while Senator Kiko Pangilinan listed 26.7 million. Senator Bongo and Rodante Marcoleta have also made their SALNs public. This leaves only 3 senators who have yet to disclose their statements: Alan Peter Cayetano, Amy Marcos, and Ronald Bato de la Rosa. There is still no word on when their SALNs will be released. Following the Ombudsman's move to ease restrictions on public access to SALNs, Senator decided to publish theirs in response to calls for greater government transparency amid corruption controversy surrounding the flood control scandal.
Yan, so yan na release na ang SALNs sa mga senators which reflect their legal income.
Oo.
The word legal.
Oo. Pero una nga, di ba, na nag-release ng SALN, even if nung wala pa yung si Ombudsman Remulla sa position to lift the restrictions sa mga SALN ng public officials, ay yung Akbayan. Di ba, yung Makabayan Bloc ba? Tama ba yun? Sila Chel Jokno,
Yes,
sila Percy Sendanya. Sa Congress naman yon. And this time around, itong mga senador dito. And of course, a lot of people are asking, di ba, yung sa issue ni Senator Chis Escudero, bakit daw siya yung one of the poorest senators doon sa listahan. Pero we have to remember, wala pa yung kila Senator Amy Marcos, Senator Bato.
But we have to look also at the actual SALN because the word SALN means statements of assets, liabilities, and net worth. So kahit sabihin mo, hypothetically, may 100 million si Senator Chis Escudero, but he has investments and properties na negative pa ang income. So, yan ang magiging outcome. Kasi liabilities network, plus minus yung isang SALN.
Pero syempre,
we have to look at the actual SALN.
Yeah, of course, pinag-uusapan din yung kumakalat din sa social media yung sa ring na 50 million pesos.
Under liability
yung
yun.
kotse na dumaan sa busway noon na, di ba, tauhan niya supposedly nandoon.
Kung binabayaran pa yon, liability yon. Kung fully paid na yon.
Pero still, it should be there. Kasi statements of assets and
exactly.
liabilities.
If it's bayad na fully yung car, it's considered an asset. So therefore, dapat tataas yung, let's say, the car is 2 million, fully paid, the 18 should be 20. But if it's under liability because binabayaran pa yung monthly, hinuhulugan pa, so that's negative. Ima-minus mo yun sa current income niya. But you have
it's still there. It should be still there, di ba?
That's why you have to take a look at the...
Kaya nga, statements of assets, liabilities, and net worth.
Exactly. That's why you have to take a look at the actual paper. Bakit naging 18 million si Senator Chis? So, yung actual
yung iba
paper.
kasi nagpapakita ng actual paper. Ito hindi pa no? Oo. Pero,
this is just the, yung total amount. Yung,
Oo. Sa Congress naman, tinatanong natin yung iba pang mga congressmen kung kailan sila mag-release ng SALN because yun nga, nauna na yung Makabayan Bloc. Tapos, of course, yung kanilang House Speaker, si House Speaker Boji D, nakapag-release ng SALN. According to Congressman Terry Redon, which we were able to talk to few weeks ago, diba? And of course, si Congressman Roman Romulo, I was able to interview him naman sa Morning Matters the other day. Parang they're still waiting pa daw for the guidelines of how to release the SALNs, no?
And what parts of the SALN ang pwede ilabas?
Yeah, yung mga redacted na mga information, yung mga personal, yung mga sa addresses, and if there are minors that are involved, syempre i-redact yun, etc. But of course, we would want to know all of it. Then, what's next after releasing the SALN?
Sinabi naman ni Congressman Redon, sabi niya, just because wala pang guidelines, doesn't mean on your own volition pwede maglabas yung mga ibang members of the House. Pwede naman daw.
Sa kanila.
It's just as a rule, the guidelines are to, kumbaga parang utos ng ombudsman na, sige, you can get the SALNs. Sa kanila, parang ito ang guidelines of how as a general rule of the House members should be released. Pero individually, if you wanna release the SALN or everything about it, pwede.
Yeah. So, ang isa pang inaabangan natin dito na SALN, which is sabi naman ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos, is he is willing to release also his SALN. As of course, yung KVP Sara as well. Diba? Ito yung sa mga, syempre sila yung highest officials here in our country. We want them to also set an example, diba, by releasing their SALNs as well. Then, yun nga yung big question here. After releasing their SALNs, what's next, diba? Tingnan din natin yung mga history ng bayaran ng taxes ng mga government officials na to. Tapos, yung pag-release nila ng SALN na to, ibangga natin yung mga kinikita nila. Tama ba? Meron bang, kumbaga, ang tawag doon, tama ba yung kinikita nila doon sa kayamanan nila na in-release nila?
Pero
yung mga tinitignan
may
dapat. May
nagpupunto din ng mga ibang expert nagsasabi, wala naman kayo may expect dyan sa SALN na yan It's because ito yung declared assets mo Di ba? So,
what if?
So yung declared assets mo, means naka-file to sa BIR din. So, babangga talaga yan.
What if merong kunyari, let's say for example, hypothetically, sabihin mo na natin hypothetically, hindi tayo nag-aakusa na ibang mga politiko na hindi naman talaga sila naglalagay ng kanilang pangalan dun sa kanilang mga properties. Inilalagay sa iba, or let's say for example, mali mo may isang malaking vault full of cash lang sila.
Kaya nga, why would you declare yung kinurakot mo sa salin mo? So, this is just meant to put pressure to, di ba, na kung magnanakaw ka, mahihirapan kang maging accountable.
Saka parang pagka sa interviewhan, di ba, sa mga statements na, sige nga, labas mo yung salin mo. Kung matapang ka, lalabas mo yung salin mo.
Magkurakot ka, tapos ilalagay mo sa salin mo, hindi naman siguro. So,
pag may paraan, if there's a will, there's a way magtago ng kayamanan. So anyway, we'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. Good morning. You're still watching News and Views here on One News.
Let's also get insights from political strategist Malu Tiquia. Good morning, ma'am. Thank you for joining us again on our program.
Good morning, Angelo. Good morning, Angela. And good morning to everyone.
Ganda ng ngiti ni ma'am.
Ngayon walang uli kayo nakita.
Oo nga eh. Nice to see you.
Kaya nga, good morning daw. Masaya ba kayo, ma'am? Because sa mga salin, linabas na. Ano ba ang reaction mo dito, ma'am?
Well, welcome development yung salin. Madali naman palang ilabas. Hindi ko maintindihan kung bakit ayaw nilang ilabas. Kaso, hindi naman lahat naglabas.
Yes.
No?
Yes.
Congratulations dun sa unang matatapang ng loob na ilabas yon, pero yung sana mas maganda kung yung puno at saka lahat ng pababa mailabas para makita talaga natin, no? Kasi napaka-interesting nung documents eh.
Yes.
Speaking of interesting, a lot of people are talking about, of course, itong release ng SALN sa mga senador, and one of which is yung kay Senator Chis Escudero being one of the poorest senators, no, doon sa list natin. Do you believe that?
Ako'y hindi naniniwala masyado doon sa kanya kasi ah well, puwedeng kanya lang 'yon, kasi makikita mo masyadong maluho yung asawa, pero yung asawa naman, may, pinanggagalingan. So, but that is the document. So, if it's 18 million, then he is the poorest, quote unquote, unlike during the time of Labier, who everyone accepted the document as being real and
Yes.
being true because he lived within his means, no? So let's see the full document and let's start, ang challenge dun kasi is we will have a system of verification, and both the public and an independent those interested in studying the documents.
That's
And
right.
alam mo, Angela, ang importante doon, we should be able to get the previous SALN. Because
Right.
if you just use today's SALN, it doesn't tell you much.
That's actually a
But
good point.
'di ba, if the SALN that was released were from the time he was a senator in the 19th Congress till today, then you will see the incremental drop or the incremental increase or the really huge jump. Right now, we're just looking at the document per se.
How come, why do you think, ma'am, sa lower house, until now, ang daming sinasabi bago i-release yung SALN as a whole?
Alam mo, Angelo, doon ako natatawa, no? Kasi nag-release na yung speaker eh.
Yeah,
At
exactly.
yung release ng speaker, talagang wag ka na mag-focus doon muna sa amount, no? Yung relatives in government. So talagang yung yan ang masasabi mong dynastic. 'Di ba? So kung yun ang characterization ng leader ng house, what more yung iba? At ang interesting diyan, Angelo, yung dating naging yung dating party list na naging regular congressman.
Yes.
'Di ba? Makikita mo 'yun. So ang kailangan natin time series ng document, hindi lang yung today. Salamat at nag-release kayo today, pero kailangan natin para mapag-aralan natin ano ba talaga ang DNA ng ating kongreso. Well, ang nakikita natin based on the initial document, milyonaryo. Pag tiningnan natin yung sa Senado, it's a billionaire to a millionaire range.
Yes.
Walang mahirap. Tapos pag binusisi mo, maraming land holdings.
Yes.
Di ba yung asset nila, parang wala sa kanila ang may utang. 'Di ba? Parang meron mga payables pero hindi yung liabilities na
That's
na as determined by the SALN, no? At makikita mo kung paano nila pinaparse yung kanilang assets, kaya ang net worth ganun kalaki.
But do you believe yung pagdidelay ng lower house will cause some erosion with regards to trust sa public? Because a lot of people are talking online. Naglilinis ba kayo ng SALN? Nagko-compute ba kayo ng maayos? Kaya ang tagal
Angelo,
release?
Kinakamada pa.
Agree ako doon, no? Let's not miss the point. Kaya nga hinihingi ng tao i-release mo yung SALN. That is building the trust, the public trust back, no? Kung hindi mo i-release yan, napakadaling sabihin na talagang wala yung SALN, hindi yan ang measurement natin para masabing yumaman ka ba sa pwesto o hindi. Tandaan natin, ang SALN is filed every year. At doon mo makikita yumaman ka ba sa pwesto. At hindi na yan hypothesis kung sa isang pag-aaral.
Yes.
Sa tingin ko, there is correlation. The longer you stay in political power, the higher your net worth.
Yung mayaman.
Oo, di ba?
Oo. Well, ma'am, kasi ngayon, sabi nga nila, it's not going to be hard anymore to get a copy of SALENS because of the lifting of the restrictions by the ombudsman. So, ngayon, para sa isang ordinaryong tao, what's next, di ba? This might be one step forward to transparency. But ano pa yung mga dapat tignan ko to make sure na itong politiko na to ay tumatalima sa batas?
Well, ang una nga, ang suggestion ko, mailabas sana yung 19th at saka yung 20th, no? Pagkatapos, ilagay yan sa portal. So kung pwede tayong maglagay ng portal ng SALN para mapag-aralan at ma-access. Yung ginagawa kasing infograph na linalabas, yung total lang doesn't tell you anything eh. It ranks. 'Di ba? From the richest to the, well, not really poor. Pero yung content, magandang tingnan yun eh. Kasi pwedeng yumaman ka dahil inherited wealth. 'Di ba? Tumaas ang value mo. Pero yung purchase, kailan? Ano ang lupang ito? Nasa posisyon ka? Purchase ka ng purchase? What does it tell you? 'Di ba? So maraming magandang mapag-aralan yung pwede nga yang maging thesis o dissertation eh. Basta meron tayong long-term yung time series o longitudinal studies at maganda sana yung congressman na pabalik-balik, patagal ng patagal, dapat meron tayong access doon sa simula kang umupo. Kasi meron diyan iba nagtapos sa House, nagtapos ng 9 years, nagpahinga, bumalik uli.
Yes. Right.
Or nagpahinga, ang nagpahinga asawa o anak. So it's still within the family. So maraming papag-aralan doon at makakatulong yon, napakalaking bagay matutulong niyan sa paghalal ng tamang leader.
That's right. And we all know this issue of the releasing of SALENS, uminit ito because of yung recent flood control projects. Now we have a new ombudsman in place. We have the ICI. We have SALENS coming out. What else should the Filipino people look at? Kasi medyo natatagalan na tayo to see people who be held accountable. Parang, is it going to be like the Janet Napoles cases before na madidismiss lang pala yung iba?
Dagdagan ko yan, ma'am, because sinabi ni President Bongbong Marcos, we cannot rush these cases. Sabi niya, we have to follow due process.
Well, una, siguro sagutin ko yung we cannot rush. Ang isang ghost project, hindi mo irarush. Anong kailangan mong dokumento para hindi kasuhan yung ghost projects? Di ba merong 428 na ghost projects? Filean mo na ng kaso, ghost projects eh. Di ba? Common sense lang yun. Hindi mo kailangan ng forensic doon, no? O pangalawa, tandaan mo yung sinabi ni Angelo, no? 91 days na tayo since July 28. Wala tayong nakikitang nakakasuhan o pinailan man lamang na congressman o senador. Ang parating kwinakuan ang mga district engineers.
Right.
Yes.
Pero hanggang doon lang. Bakit? Yun ang tanong ko. 91 days na-declare na ghost projects ito. Bakit hindi nyo habulin na yung ghost projects? Para malaman natin sino ang nag-encash ng pera at bakit walang proyekto. Ganun lang commonsensical no? So, maraming ang nakakalungkot dito. Nasa 91 days tayo, tahimik ang ICI kasi daw inaayos nila yung kanilang rules for what they call this, making it public, no, ICI. Tahimik ang Senado dahil ngayon lang sa history pareho kayong I guess reported from the Senate. Ngayon lang tayo nagkaroon ng Senate Blue Ribbon Committee chair na nag-resign, pagkatapos babalik. Tapos yung gagawin niya, ina-announce na niya. Tapos sa House, wala na. So tahimik na. Tahimik in the forefront.
Right.
Ano nangyayari sa mahiya naman kayo?
Right,
'Di ba? Tayo naghihintay kasi taxes natin maraming galit. At yung mga maraming binayad na taxes, mas lalong nagagalit kasi mayroong balita na tataasan daw ang VAT.
Yes,
ang daming mga permutations ng balita na hindi maganda sa taxpayers. Alam mo, ang nakakalungkot dito, yung middle class revolt, huwag niyong hintayin.
That's right.
Kasi yung middle class talagang pigang-piga na eh. Yung mahihirap na andyan, merong safety nets yan. Pero yung ang middle class, walang safety nets yan. Nagbabayad para magandang serbisyo, pero anong nangyayari?
Oo. Ma'am, yun nga sa Senado nabanggit nyo, I think I was telling Diego also over the past few weeks that we're wasting too much energy and time discussing the feelings of the senators kung paano nila ginagawa yung investigasyon dyan. Ano. But I was reading your article, ma'am, ano, and you said about Ombudsman Boying Remulla, as ombudsman, the threat of institutional capture is more real than ever. No? So what do you mean by that po?
Well, alam mo Angela, he is a politician. 'Di ba? He came from Congress. He is part of the dynasty in Cavite. So if you assume the ombudsman, it's essentially you're saying, and he's acting that way, that what I bring in to the equation is I am a politician. I used to be DOJ, which is prosecutorial, and now I am ombudsman. So nagkakaroon na ng intermarry yung mga dati niyang posisyon to hindi ka neutral. 'Di ba? Tatandaan natin bakit sinabi ni Martires that you cannot get the SALN before you have to notify us. Dahil sa nangyari kay Supreme Court Chief Justice
Corona.
Oo, di ba? Kung natatandaan natin yon, ginamit yung SALN. Abay, ang haba. 12 charges doon sa impeachment complaint. Ano ang nakuha lang siya dahil saan? It's not even part of the charges. It's part of the SALN. And during that time, sa SALN, you can correct it. Kaya nung nahatulan si Chief Justice Corona, lahat ng congressman kinorek. Kasi you are given the chance to correct kung ano ang hindi mo na-report. So yun yung rason kung bakit, sandali lang ha, hindi pwede mag-fishing expedition sa SALN. Magsabi muna kayo. Yun yung sabi ni Ombudsman Martires bago kayo kumuha. Kaso naging kagawian na kailangan kang humingi ng permiso. Na pag tiningnan mo sa RA 6713, ang SALN is given to the public. It's made public. Kaya nga,
right.
Sworn Assets and Liabilities Network, di ba?
What caught my attention kanina, ma'am, you mentioned the word the middle class burnout, no? We all know every successful moral, social revolt comes from a component of the military and middle class. Right now, I don't see it yet, yung tinatawag na trigger. But what do you think will be the tipping point for the middle class to finally say enough is enough?
I think when we reach by the end of November and nothing happens, nobody is charged, nobody is brought to jail. I mean, alam mo, Angelo, alam na natin kung sinong mastermind eh. Ang kailangan lang natin is the declaration na ito yung ginawa, ito yung sistema, ito yung kinita. More or less nakukuha na natin eh kasi dun sa nagkataon nung sinabi yan budget season.
Yes.
So talagang nabubuksan. Ako yung sumasaludo kay Senator Win Gatchalian dahil talagang hinihimay-himay niya. Alam mo, doon rin natin nakikita yung importansya ng bicameral. Kasi hindi lahat ng gusto ng House masusunod sa Senado. So makikita na natin, may play up na aalsin namin yung ayuda, aalsin namin yung ganyan, iniba yung word na lump sum, iniba yung word na unprogrammed appropriation, ginawang subject to release or something. Makikita mo na talagang nagsasaluhan yung dalawa at sa BICAM will be very heated. So diyan tayo talaga tumutok dahil baka mamaya ang mangyari katulad rin naman nung 2025 GAA. Siguro ako isang pitch lang sa Supreme Court. Kung sana inaksyonan nila yung pending na kaso sa GAA 2025 declaring it unconstitutional, hindi sana tayo ganitong kagulo, hindi sana tayo ganitong heated about what is happening with our public funds.
Right.
Pero hindi nga nila inaaksyonan.
Well, as always, thank you for your insights and we will continue to get in touch with you regarding these matters and others. Maraming salamat po, political strategist Maluti Kia.
Thank you.
Crowds are starting to build up at major bus terminals in Metro Manila as thousands of passengers head home to their provinces for Undas. For the latest situation at the Cubao bus terminals, we go live to Mobile Journal Francis Rivera. Francis.
Angela, dito nga tayo sa isa sa mga terminal o bus terminal dito sa Cubao. At kung mapapansin nyo, ang sitwasyon dito halos wala pa. Kukunti pa lamang ang mga pasaherong nandito. At ayon sa admin, nakausap natin kanina ang namumuno ka dito sa bus terminal na ito. Ate o organized, systematic ang nangyaring pagbubook dito. Una, kailangan muna nilang mag-online booking. So may mga pila doon na inire-redeem or yung mga ticket na binook nila ay i-redeem nila mismo doon bago sila umakyat dito sa mga bus na andito. Ganun din, meron ding mga trans passenger o pwede rin daw mag-walk-in. Pero medyo matatagalan nga lang daw yung mga pagpapareserve o dun sa mga bus na mga pupuntahan nila dahil isa daw talaga sa kalaban nila ngayon ay ang traffic. Sa mga drivers naman ng mga bus na ito ay well-trained naman daw sila at sinisigurado daw na kompleto ang tulog at isa pa may mga nakahandang karelyebo naman ang bawat driver sa loob ng mga bus at bawat biyahe. Ngayon Angela ay fully booked man ang online nila pero magbubukas pa rin daw sila ng mga slot para doon sa mga gusto pang humabol. Kaya naman panawagan nila habang maaari, habang maaga pa mag-book na sila through online.
Okay, Francis, kamusta naman yung security dyan sa terminal?
Angela, kung napapansin nyo, nakakalat din naman yung mga security, at hindi naman nawawala ng mga security personnel. So bawat entrance at pati doon sa may exit at entrance nila ay may mga naka-standby na mga security personnel.
Well, so far, base dyan sa video mo, sa background mo, Francis, wala pa kami masyadong nakikita mga pasahero. So, kailan natin, kumbaga ma-expect, yung rush ng mga pasahero dyan sa Cubao Bus Terminal?
Yung nakausap nga natin, yung admin ng bus terminal na ito, ina-expect nila na bukas ng madaling araw o kundi kaya bukas ng gabi kasi inaasahan niya na long weekend. So susamantalain to ng mga biyahero o ng mga pasaherong pupunta o sa kanilang mga kamag-anak sa probinsya. So ang ina-expect talaga nila ay bukas ng madaling araw or bukas ng gabi.
Francis,
pero ang pinaka-peak daw.
Go ahead, Francis.
Yes, pero ang pinaka-peak daw nila ay ina-expect nga nila ay Friday.
Okay. You mentioned a while ago, Francis, that medyo fully booked na online but there are open new slots. Is there also a chance na pwede kang pumunta dyan physically at the word chance passenger, aasa ka kung may mag-open ng slot?
Yes, Diego, well, sa ngayon kasi pinaprioritize nila yung mga nag-online booking, pero dun nga sa mga chance passenger at talagang mag-walk-in, ay huwag na kayo mag-alala dahil hindi kayo mawawalan ng slot. Pero yun nga lang, kailangan nyo lamang maghintay dun sa mga magiging available na bus na darating dito sa terminal.
Alright, maraming salamat sa iyong oras. That was our mobile journal, Francis Rivera reporting live from Cubao in Quezon City. Now, the Justice Department clarifies that while the Ombudsman has opted to drop the Discayas as state witnesses, the department is still conducting its own independent assessment. Here's the report.
The Department of Justice says it respects the Ombudsman's decision to drop the Diskaya couple as possible state witnesses in the flood control corruption cases, but maintains that its own review remains ongoing. DOJ spokesperson Attorney Polo Martinez explained on The Big Story that while the Ombudsman has the prerogative, the DOJ independently evaluates potential state witnesses under its mandate.
The DOJ is independent of the Ombudsman, meaning we have our own assessment of any would-be applicants for state witness, any covered witnesses.
He said the agency continues to assess the Diskaya's testimonies to determine their credibility and value to the government's case. Martinez added that communication lines with the couple remain open.
We are still carefully evaluating the testimony, the contents and the substance of their testimonies, seeing if there's merit to it, seeing if there's necessity for them or for us to adopt their testimonies and for them to be adopted as state witnesses. We're committed to pursuing justice here, and if the Diskayas or any other state witness are still willing to cooperate, our doors are still open, very much open.
Meanwhile, Martinez admitted that there are still no leads on the whereabouts of former Representative Zaldico, nor any update yet on the possible cancellation of his passport.
Right now, we currently do not have any leads yet.
He assured the public that the DOJ is committed to pursuing accountability, vowing that no one will be spared in the prosecution of those involved in the flood control corruption cases. Martinez emphasized that the department's goal is clear: to see these cases through to conviction and deliver justice.
Subpoenas are to be issued soon. We could expect the DOJ and the prosecutors under the DOJ to be issuing the subpoenas for the respondents in these cases. There will be no sacred cows. That's the motto we echo.
Yan, so malinaw na hindi porket nanggaling si Ombudsman Remulla sa DOJ, isa ang direction ng investigation. It's clear that they have their own ways of tackling it. May separate angles sila. The Ombudsman kasi will focus on the government officials who are part of that.
Exactly.
Yung DOJ naman will take a look at the contractors in play, construction companies.
The picture as a whole.
The picture as a whole, criminal liabilities.
Pero itong no sacred cows, yan. Paulit-ulit ko yung naririnig simula na nag-umpisa tayo ng usapin tungkol dito sa Anomalous Flood Control Project. So until na wala pa tayong nakikita.
Actually, yung sinabi ni Maluti Kia a while ago.
Na napapakulong.
Yung sinabi ni Maluti Kia a while ago, we're only seeing district engineers, assistant district engineers. We want to see the big fish.
Exactly.
Diba? And
kasi sabi nga nila, ito deeply rooted system yung corruption
Kahit sabihin mo na, wala pa naman kaso, relax lang kayo. Hindi. We can see yung direction ng mga ibang hearing left and right, na parang it's going towards the engineers and the contractors yung fault. We want to see, kasi sabihin natin, sige, malaki kasalanan ng isang contractor or isang district engineer dito. But if there is yung bigger fish na higher up na hindi ini-empower ang corruption.
Higher being
na hindi ini-empower ang corruption. Itong mga nasa lower level, hindi naman gagawa ng kalokohan.
Hindi maglalakas ang loob. Diba, na gawin nila yan. So, tignan natin, kasi yun nga sinasabi mo during the Senate hearing, sinasabi ng mga senador doon, bakit puro sila, walang congressman? Sa Congress naman, bakit puro sila, walang senador, di ba?
Sakit feelings ko sabi. Hurting my feelings, kami lang. Alright, Philippine Coast Guard spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, Commodore J. Tariela, fired back at Representative Pulong Duterte's recent remarks, calling them an attempt to discredit him while defending the Philippines' maritime rights. He also rejected Representative Kiko Barzaga's call to abolish the Coast Guard. Here's the report.
Philippine Coast Guard spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, Commodore J. Tariela, responded to Davao City Representative Paulo Duterte's recent remarks against him. Tariela said the attacks are part of a pro-China narrative meant to destroy his credibility as a spokesperson.
Itong mga ganitong statement ni Congressman Paulo Duterte, referring to my life way back, 21 years ago, mga pro-China narrative to just to destroy my credibility as a spokesperson.
He stressed that calling out pro-China statements does not make him an enemy of anyone. Tariela quipped that if being a Chihuahua means defending the country's rights, then he'd rather be one than a Chinese bulldog.
Kung pagiging Chihuahua, yung pag-call out sa mga obvious na linyahan ng pro-China, sabi ko I'm guilty as charged, no? Kasi kung ang pagiging Chihuahua is to call out yung mga Chinese bulldog na ang inaaway at ang gustong kasagutan ay ang mga ating karapatan, then okay na ako maging Chihuahua, wag lang maging Chinese bulldog.
Duterte earlier called him a Chihuahua after he defended Armed Forces Chief of Staff General Romeo Browner Jr.'s remarks on the West Philippine Sea. Tariela also dismissed Cavite Representative Elpidio Barsaga's call to abolish the Coast Guard, saying his statements should not be taken seriously. He even questioned where Barsaga gets his information.
Una muna sa lahat, no? I don't really know kung saan kumukuha ng information si Congressman Barsaga, kung pusa lang ba yung mga kausap niya or kung sino ang nagbibigay sa kanya ng mga ganitong information.
Tariela emphasized that it is the Chinese Coast Guard, not the PCG, that continues to harass Filipino fishermen in the West Philippine Sea. He added that under the Marcos administration, fisherfolk now feel stronger government support and the PCG fully backs ongoing diplomatic efforts to ease tensions with China.
Administration, mas ramdam nila ang mga operation ng Coast Guard and the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, not just on the context of safety and security, but also in ensuring the economic impact na ginagawa ng ating mga mangingisdang Pilipino.
Yun ang nakakalungkot.
Araw na yan sila nag-aaway.
Yun ang nakakalungkot. Instead of having one narrative for the entire nation, meron tayong pro-China, anti-China, pro-America, anti-America, di ba? And the Chinese people
are just watching.
Are just watching us, and they're seeing they're united in their claim.
Yeah.
And they're saying, oh, sila, they're not united. So that means there's a doubt na kung kanino yung West Philippine Sea.
Exactly. So maigi dapat nagkakaisa tayo pagdating dito sa issue na to kaysa nag-aaway-away. Yun nga no, I was able to talk to Commodore Tariela the other day also about this topic, yung sagutan nila ng mga Duterte. Kasi meron din, aside from Congressman Pulong, meron ding sinabi few months ago si acting mayor ng Davao, si Baste Duterte, saying na yung mga anti-China, wag na rin kayo gumamit ng mga made in China products. Parang ganun sinasabi niya. And sinasabi nga ni Commodore G. Tariela, parang that's beside the point already.
That's an absurd call because we're not we're not against the Chinese people. We're not against their commerce. We're not against their tourism.
This is not about
we're against the
economic
stance of their government or their political stance that the West Philippine Sea is theirs. Sinasabi natin hindi, atin yan. But it doesn't mean galit ka na sa mga citizens nila. Diba? So, hindi na ako kakain ng how flakes. Kakain pa rin ako how flakes. Hindi mo ako galit sa mga gumawa eh.
Mga hakaw, diba?
Hindi ako naniniwala lang sa mga pananaw nila. Pero you're telling me to give up and that's a little childish.
It's a purely different topic.
Yeah.
All right, the Independent Commission for Infrastructure says it is following due process in probing the flood control scam despite public outcry over the lack of arrest. Mobile Journal, Arles de los Santos has the report.
Proseso kasi yung sinusundan natin, which I said, rule of law.
That is the response of ICI Executive Director Attorney Brian Keith Hosaka amid the rising public concern as to why and how no personalities connected to the flood control scam has been jailed yet. He emphasized that the Independent Commission for Infrastructure, established through President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s EO94, is tasked to investigate thousands of anomalous flood control projects of the government and craft case build-up to submit before the Office of the Ombudsman. The Commission wants to ensure that the pieces of evidence and testaments will stand trial. Hosaka also added that the Commission respects the nationwide protest set on November 30, aimed to express the public's clamor for accountability, noting that it is everyone's right and they are an ally for the same cause.
In fact, dapat lang na sila ay mapagmatsyag because we don't want this to happen again. But at the same time, the ICI assures the public that we are doing everything possible within our means, within the bounds of the rule of law.
Meanwhile, the ICI confirmed that it has sent a new subpoena to resign Congressman Zaldico in his residences in Pasig City and Bicol and is now looking for remedial measures if Co once again ignores the summons. It can be recalled that Co is being pointed as the mastermind for inserting billions of pesos in 2025 budget and received kickbacks. Also on the same press conference, Hosaka denied a social media post by former Senator Antonio Sonny Trillanes claiming that the commission had summoned Senator Bongo, where in his post, Trillanes alleged that Go refused to appear before the ICI unless accompanied by Senators Amy Marcos and Ronald Bato de la Rosa, who would serve as his counsels.
No plans yet, but we will let you know once the commission decides to invite Senator Bongo. We are concentrating on the 421 Ghost project. So right now, the fact that the complaint has been filed with the Ombudsman, we don't want to be redundant, in the sense that medyo hindi pa nga kompleto yung aming staffing pattern. So we would rather concentrate our efforts to new case build-ups, meaning referrals to the Ombudsman of a different project involving the 421 Ghost project.
Kapatid Arles de los Santos, we are One News.
Yan. So, this is the second time nga na isa pa sabina si former Congressman Zaldico. But of course, hindi natin alam kung nasan siya eh. Diba? The subpoena
Initial reports
was sent to his property in Pasig in the province of Bicol. Pero I don't know who received it. Pero yun nga, hindi natin alam.
Initial
kung
reports point
siya.
to Madrid. He's in Spain. Because yung CCTV footage of him sa airport going to Madrid. And may mga supposed pictures na lumalabas.
Ako sa kanya, kung wala talaga siyang, di ba, lagi naman natin pinag-uusapan dito yun, kung wala siyang kasalanan at kaya niya ipaliwanag, bumalik na lang siya dito. Because flight is a sign of guilt. Diba?
Well, iniisip kasi ng tao na either guilty ka o may pinagtatakpan ka.
Pwede
kaya hindi ka bumabalik,
still, diba? It's still something to clear itong issue na to. Dahil itong ICI, sabi nga natin, so wala naman siya ibang power kundi ganito lang eh. Actually, hirap din sila sa manpower, hirap din sila sa budget.
Kasi this is a rushed this is a rushed commission. So they're not really fully staffed yet. As we see, even yung com team nila and others
Pero apparently pala, kung wala silang budget, pwede nilang itap yung yung intelligence fund ng Pangulo.
Yes, kasi this is a commission created by virtue of EO, an executive order. And so they could use the funds from the office of the president.
Exactly. So yun yung mga iba kasing mga challenges ng ICI, kaya medyo na-postpone din yung kanilang plan to air yung kanilang mga hearing.
All right, Malacanang clarified that President Marcos did not order a price freeze on basic goods. Instead, the President directed the Department of Trade and Industry to strictly monitor commodity prices and ensure stability in the market. Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said the President instructed the agency to work closely with manufacturers to prevent price increases on basic and prime goods through the end of the year. She emphasized that the directive focuses on monitoring and coordination, not on imposing a price freeze.
Alinsunod sa kautusan ni Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr. na hindi magkakaroon ng paggalaw sa mga presyo ng mga bilihin bago ang holiday season, inanunsyo ng Department of Trade and Industry o DTI na walang price increase sa basic at prime commodities sa bansa hanggang sa matapos ang kasalukuyang taon.
Don't go away because we're not done yet. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching News and Views here on One News.
The Transportation Department is now heightened alert for the Undas rush. Acting Secretary Giovanni Lopez said personnel from various agencies have been deployed nationwide. He also ordered shipping firms to keep their online ticketing systems working to prevent overloading. Lopez, though, admitted there's still a shortage of public transport worsened by traffic in poor commuter facilities, but said the agency has issued special permits to ease the problem.
So because of our usual commute na sinasabi natin ng mga opisyal, sila na po mismo ang nagsabi na kailangan natin maglagay na magdagdag ng PUV sa specific routes na sinasabi nila. So after experiencing that problem po, nag-issue tayo kagad ng sinasabi nating special permits. At ito naman po ay natugunan natin. Ito din yung mareklamo ng ating mga citizens.
Pagasa warned that three weather systems, the Northeast Monsoon or Amihan, the Intertropical Convergence Zone, and a low-pressure area are expected to bring rains across the country during the All Saints and All Souls Day weekend. According to the State Weather Bureau, the Northeast Monsoon will affect Batanes and the Babuyan Islands, bringing cloudy skies and rain from Thursday to Friday, while isolated rains may also occur in Apayao, Abra, and Ilocos Norte. An LPA forming east of the Visayas, combined with the ITCZ, is forecast to cause scattered rains and thunderstorms over Metro Manila, Visayas, Mindanao, Calabarzon, Mimaropa, Central Luzon, and parts of northern Luzon through the long weekend. By Saturday and Sunday, rains from the LPA and ITCZ will continue in Mimaropa, Calabarzon, Bicol, and western Visayas, while the Northeast Monsoon will bring cloudy skies and light rains to Cagayan Valley, the Cordillera region, Aurora, and Ilocos.
The Philippine peso weakened to a historic low on Tuesday, October 28. The peso closed at 59.13 against the US dollar, its lowest level since December last year. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas said the depreciation may reflect market concerns over the ongoing flood control corruption controversy and expectations of further monetary easing. The central bank, though, assured that the peso remains supported by remittances, tourism, and BPO inflows.
Parents notice unique early developments in 2025 babies, sparking online discussions about their milestones and growth patterns. Para bigyan ng muka ang balita, Mobile Journal, Fatima Baduria.
2025 babies are built different daw, sabi ng ilang mommies. Pare-pareho raw kasi sila ng napapansin sa kanilang babies.
2 o 3 linggo pa lang, matibay na agad ang leeg. Usap-usapan ng maraming mommy online ang napansin nilang pagkakatulad daw ng kanilang mga newborn this 2025.
Lagi niyang inaangat yung ulo niya, lagi niyang ginagalaw niya kaliwat kanan. Marami pala kami na nakaka-experience din na gano'n.
Minsan tinanay ko yung parang tummy time. Nadapa lang po siya, gano'n. Tapos yung naitataas niya yung ulo niya. Tapos naano ko po sa TikTok na sa isang page doon na 4 months pa lang pwedeng tummy time. Ay, kako, hindi pa pala pwede si baby. So parang tinigil ko muna siya. Kasi nga hindi pa pala pwede, pero kaya niya na.
Isa pang napansin ng mga mami na nakausap ko, pare-pareho raw silang nahirapang magpa-burp o padighayin ang kanilang baby.
Make sound po siya during sleep, which is unusual. Parang gusto nilang ma-release pa yung gas sa tummy.
Mahirap siyang ipa-burp talaga. Puyatan talaga.
Kaya tinanong natin ang isang pediatrician tungkol dito. Sabi ni Doc, hindi na bago ang napapansin ng mga mami sa kanilang baby.
The question was always there na, Dok, ang ano ko parang mas malakas na yung leg niya. Or may nagsasabi ding, ang hirap namang ipa-burp, Dok. That's a forever question. So, hindi ko pwedeng anuhin na agree ako na itong 2025 is different from the other babies.
Pero ang kaibahan lang daw, mas marami nang nakakagamit ng internet.
Communication, no? Chat groups, social media. Uy, katulad tayo. So you feel like maraming similarities but it's really more on the communication na naging malapit tayong lahat.
Sabi pa ni Doc, iba-iba ang development ng bawat baby pero good sign daw na healthy ang 2025 babies sa mga katangiang napapansin sa kanila.
There's no rush. Mas better yung sobrang support ka rather than yung tinanggal mo na yung support. So kahit ilang months yan, kargahin mo si baby, hilehin mo, that's a sign of love.
Mabilis man o humahabol pa sa milestones ang inyong baby, dapat ay nakasuporta palagi ang mga magulang sa paglaki nila. Mga kapatid, Mobile Journal Fatima Baduria po, hatid ang mukha ng balita.
Okay yan. Basta pagdating sa future, kung maging politician man sila o government officials, hindi sila maging corrupt.
Nakikita ko nga itong Halloween, mga costume na naglalabasan, mga
flood control.
Contractor May nakita
Pati
ako,
si Flora Bell, yung pusa
Flora
natin.
Bell, pusa ng
sa
TV5, naka-costume ng contractor. Meron pa ako nakita online na aso na naka-costume ng tulay.
Talaga? Meron ako nakita bata naman, ghost flood control siya. Naka-ghost siya, yung white blanket.
Di ba sabi nila, di ba, yung mga at the end of the year, pag nag-year ender, makikita mo sa costume, sa music, sa mga jokes, sa ano yung maging mainit sa taon. Ngayon, flood control. Diba? Ayun. And that wraps up today's episode of News and Views.
Join us again tomorrow. I'm Angela Lagunsad Castro.
I'm Angelo Castro III. Kapatid, we are One News.
All sides, all the time.